all they do is think about, is it time to go yet? Today we're talking about Porsche's EV struggles, California's tax credit alternative, and is air travel getting worse? I feel like I've never ever seen an article that says air travel's getting better. Ever in my life.
You've never seen.
I feel like this is a once a year thing. Oh, again, we'll talk about it when we talk about
I don't know. I think it depends on the airline brand, honestly. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Also, talk me through like the day that everybody's wondering whether it's time to go. Is that like get out of your family's house, or is that like
no? Oh, that's true, because that's part Thursday as well. That's part Thursday as well. Yeah, no, on Wednesday it's kind of like the distracted driving begins. We talked about it yesterday.
Yeah.
Halfway through Wednesday, if you're having people over or you're traveling somewhere, the phone starts ringing and texting and the thing everybody.
And I'll tell you this: there's like, I don't know.
People aren't shopping for cars.
This is like the same thing in retail. There's 2 days out of the year that are like the most awkward days, and it's the day before Thanksgiving and then Christmas Eve.
Yeah, Christmas.
And they both kind of like, you're working, but you're not really sure whether or not you're working.
It's like you're working, but no one else is. So you wonder if you should be.
Well, but at the same time, like, that if someone comes up on the lot,
they're ready to buy. Right. Only buyers only. Serious. Absolutely. No tire kickers on the day before Thanksgiving.
It's like if it snows 7 inches in
someone
Nashville,
pulls up, you're like, we're selling this person a car.
They just bought a car. It's already done.
Done. Yeah. Just walk paperwork right out to him. Bring some keys out, bring some paperwork out.
Same thing. Wednesday morning.
We released a new one of our ASOTU Edge webinars yesterday, connecting cars and customers with advanced streaming media solutions with Cody Tomczyk, Senior Vice President of Workforce Marketing, and Dane Toko, Senior Director of Marketing at Lithia. Listen, Kyle said this yesterday. If you and your marketing team get together and watch like the last 3 ASOTU Edge webinars, you're going to have a really great heading going into 2025. It's going to help jumpstart your conversations and get you going. You can go to asotu.com. You can see everything there. You can watch all the sign up for the webinars, watch the webinar histories and all that. We're trying to help, right? And our partners, our sponsors, your partners are trying to help you get calibrated for 2025.
You know what else we haven't talked about, Paul? We haven't even talked about this. We are hosting a website called NADA Parties in partnership with Claire.
Oh my gosh.
And if you're having a party or want to know where the parties are or want to keep track of like whether or not more parties got added, you just bookmark that sucker. Also, we're having a party.
Oh my gosh.
I think this might be the actual first announcement.
I think you're right. We have not talked about this.
We're having a party on Friday night. You can be there. It's free, but the tickets are ridiculously limited. They will sell out probably before Jan 1, and we ain't letting you in if you don't have a ticket, but it is free. Go there, register for it. We're going to be at the Sazerac House at NADA on Friday night of NADA, and it's going to be a ripping good.
We're calling it a first stop. So the site is nadaparties.com. Ours should be at the top. We're definitely the tickets are going to be gone, but we're going to do some kind of lottery. And so there's going to be a wait list, and it's like a multi-level thing. You got to be there. We're calling it the first stop because no one stays somewhere, right? Come here for an hour or so, see your people, and then go on to your next thing. That's how NADA works. Let's talk about some news, shall we?
Get into it.
All right. This may be no surprise here. Porsche is pivoting its strategy to address declining battery electric vehicle sales, planning new combustion engine models to align with regional demand while managing challenges in China and profit pressures. Basically, Porsche's BEV sales dropped to 7.3% of all sales through September, down 12%.
Wow.
From 2022. So
down
it's just
from 12%. So
yes. Down from, I'm sorry. Almost. Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry about that. China led the decline with overall sales falling 29% amidst tepid BEV adoption in the luxury market in China. Porsche is aiming for a leaner China dealer network, anticipating long-term sales dips below peak levels. Their Q3 operating profit margin dropped to 10.7, down from 17% in Q2. So that's a pretty big drop. The company's goal is 20%, and they're obviously going in the wrong direction. CFO Lutz Mensky emphasized extending combustion engine offerings with new Cayenne and Panamera ICE versions planned, saying, quote, we are currently looking at the possibility of originally planned all-electric vehicles having a hybrid drive or a combustion engine. We're just going to stick with the combustion engine. What's clear is that we're sticking with the combustion engine.
So what you're telling me, Paul, is when people get in a sports car, they want it to sound like a sports car.
I mean,
I will say though, the people that I know that have the all electric Porsche right now say that thing rips.
It's dope. Danny Zaslowski has one, and when I was at the VinQ Unleashed event, he drove me over from like their headquarters to the hotel, and that thing was amazing.
It does.
And then we turned the sounds on. He's like, check the sounds out, and they were really cool.
And they're really cool. You know, and this is what's weird. Like, I feel like the ultra luxury would be more into this as an option, right? Have a garage, easy to charge. It's you know, electric vehicles are historically a second or third vehicle in the garage. So like, it's kind of confusing to me, but maybe you wore out kind of the initial adopters.
I think we're going to see, I think we already have seen, are going to see a lot of manufacturers already rolling back the EV plans. There was a ton of hype, and everyone made all these claims. We'll see what Jaguar does, right? Because they're going all electric. I think they're kind of locked in.
Everybody's just going to be like, assume the Toyota position.
Yeah, right, exactly. And we'll see what happens. I mean, because 2030 is getting awful close now. It's about to be 2025. And we've seen a lot of stepping back, not stepping forward. Speaking of stepping forward, I guess, I don't know if they're stepping forward.
I don't know.
California is a little bit stepping forward, but more than that, they're bracing for the repeal of the federal EV tax credits under the Trump administration, with Governor Gavin Newsom proposing a state-backed alternative to keep the electric vehicle momentum going. He's looking to revive California's clean vehicle rebate program, which previously supported over 594,000 EVs with a $1.4 billion in subsidies. It could basically be funded by the state's greenhouse gas reduction fund, even as California faces a $2 billion budget deficit. I have no idea where they get this money.
Who knows?
Tesla, which builds their EVs in Canada, which are, by the way, the only company to build EVs in California, aren't going to qualify for the tax credit.
No, definitely not. Well, even if they were, they'd figure out a way to not do it because they're mad at him for moving the main.
That isn't personal at all. Yeah. California's aiming to ban gasoline-only vehicle sales by 2035, targeting 80% EV sales by then. So Porsche, there's your market. Newsom's office said in a statement, the governor's proposal for zero EV rebates would be intended to foster zero emission vehicles. Would be intended to foster market competition, innovation, and support new market entrants.
Yeah.
Not the OGs.
Look, I mean, if you didn't think that California was going to do something to kind of like bob when they weaved, when it comes to EVs, they've poured so far in that it's like, how could you turn back at this point? It's still surprising to me that they would say maybe we're going to throw another couple $1 billion into this thing and potentially incentivize new entrants. But you know, California going to do what California going to do.
I saw a story yesterday about being illegal to buy motorhomes in like 6 states yesterday. Did you see that floating around?
No, I missed that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I saw it too. Ty Caputo reposted. I saw it first and then he reposted it. And I was like, oh, maybe it is legitimate. I wonder if California is one of them. Wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like an emission. Maybe it's a certain class of motorhome.
Fuel, typically.
I think it's a weight thing. I remember it being a weight thing.
Weight on highways. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because EVs aren't any heavier.
Yeah, and truck EVs aren't heavy for sure.
Yeah, it's like a 12,000 pound Hummer.
Got it.
Okay. Speaking of travel, heavy things.
Not on the road.
Hopefully.
Talked about this, but we know that air travel is hitting record highs again this Thanksgiving, and passengers are complaining about cramped seats, added fees, poor service, and raising a bunch of questions on whether or not flying has become worse and how to fix it. I bet a lot of auto industry people have some opinions on this because we travel in the air all the time. Airlines are squeezing coach seating while expanding premium options. Delta sold 74% of first class seats in cash this year, so not upgrades. 74% people buying those jokers. Budget style unbundling adds fees for basics like carry-on, seat selection, or sitting next to family, so that or picking your seats. So that's, your budget airlines, your Spirits, your Allegiants, things like that are unbundling. The U.S. Transportation Department received nearly 97,000 airline complaints in 2023, the highest since 2020. What's that compared to the auto complaints?
I was thinking about that.
Can your boy know? Passenger rights
one.
awareness may have contributed to increased complaints despite fewer cancellations. So
half as many cancellations, right?
Half down. Yeah. So everybody still they're getting on the plane.
1.2% cancellation.
Yep.
Versus 2.3.
This is a great quote right here.
It is.
Experts suggest political action to regulate and improve quality, with CBS's Peter Greenberg quipping about how he thinks about his flights. He said 2 words: "We landed."
Yeah, that's it. When you get there and you land, I have a couple things to say about this. Number one, the coach seats, I'm telling you, I just have long legs. So if they make them any smaller, I've been on some flights where my knees are literally touching the seat in front of me. It's kind of bad. But when you think about Delta selling 74% of its first class seats, like at purchase, not upgrades, I think that does 2 things. Number one, it shows that people are willing to spend on more comfort while they're traveling. But I think it makes the experience worse for the people who fly more often, right? So the people who fly more often, you have, higher status rates. You tend to get the upgrades, but you get a lot fewer upgrades when people are buying the seats. So I think that could contribute to a worse experience for the people who fly more than the people who just pay more for the first class seats. Those are getting scooped up. Look, I don't know. When it comes to passenger rights over like a customer service, flying is one of the most complicated ones to fix, because no matter what, very few people are choosing a less convenient flight over an airline.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when you look and you go on Google Flights and you're like, well, this one gets me there when I want to get there, and it might be not my preferred airline, and the other one gets me 3 hours later, or I have to take a layover. Like, you're going to take the other flight, and then maybe you'll complain about it, but you're still going to take it. So like, it's hard. I think it's hard from a competitive standpoint.
It's very similar to auto, right? Where there's only so much you can do. It's like the rising tide lifts all ships. Kind of like everybody has to come up, and the industry would have to decide that there's something different that they do. Yeah. Now, I will say all the stuff around like cancellations and refunds that came out a little bit about a month ago, that's a little bit of like that's an oversight thing that says like, hey, we need to make this.
Sure, that type of thing holds an industry accountable to a standard.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. We fly a lot. And I don't really have, I think the more you fly, there's that convenience and
the nuance of it.
Understand of like, like, hey, 10 minutes late, pilot timed out, these things happen. But I will say, I see a lot people that clearly don't fly a lot. It is an anxiety inducing.
Oh
event,
my gosh.
Right.
Yeah, so. That's true. And I'm just thinking, like, I've had the worst experiences. Like, I remember you raving about Southwest, and finally we got Southwest in Syracuse. I was like so excited. And then there's kind of like the worst part of Southwest, the last like 2-3 years.
Yep.
Right.
But think about that. Like draw that straight line to auto. The people that come in have bought 4, 5, 6, 7 cars from you.
Yep.
The path to purchase is super easy. They're hanging out, talking to the service advisor, talking to the GM. They're getting their own coffee. It feels very fluid. Right. But there's an anxiety-inducing thing when you only buy a car every 5 years. You're not used to the rhythm of that, right? Like buying on Amazon, we do that every 2 to 3 days.
Yep.
That's not anxiety-inducing for a person, but something they do every 5 years is anxiety-reducing. So recognizing the difference between the type of person that's sitting in front of you is really important for that consumer experience.
I think there's one big takeaway, and it's that no matter which airline you like, if you have a preference, it literally only takes one bad flight to ruin it. Or on the flip side, it only, for an airline that maybe you had a bad perception of or some bad experiences, it only takes like one great flight attendant to totally change the temperature. And I think that is true in the auto industry. No matter what experience people have had, the one that they have next at your store is actually going to be the only one that matters. You have full control over that. So take control over that. Before we get to Tomorrow I Want to Talk Word, go out there, sell some cars, and take care of some people.
Got that so strong.